Hello everyone, this is part 34 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto and Sasuke kept taking things to the next level and beyond as each showed the attacks they knew could possibly top the other. Thankfully though to the Jaganai, Naruto was able to prevent the Uchiha from coping any of the jutsus he had, much to the demonically transformed boy's dismay. They hit each other with fire, water, and earth jutsus in an all-out war that was by all things considered cage level. The only real difference between them was Sasuke kept drawing on more and more of his power from his demon to heal himself. Meanwhile Naruto could not, due to some of the seals around the Valley of the End preventing him from successfully doing so. The fact that several of his senses weren't at 100% right now didn't help either. Damn you Uchiha. Every time I knock Sasuke down even remotely to half strength, he keeps using that snake of a demon inside of him to regain what he lost. If this continues to keep up, I may have to take things up an even higher notch, thought Naruto, moving out of the way of Sasuke's newly created dragon flamethrower jutsu. Hitting the wall with such an intense blast of power that it shook the barrier until it looked like it was ready to crack. Naruto saw this and noticed that every time one of their jutsus hit the barrier around them that it would strain itself more and more. Naruto soon realized that the trick for dealing with Orochimaru and his sound ninja wimps when the time was right was using his endurance. Despite the massive group around the barrier and the chakra they were generating already enhanced by the curse seal on them, the barrier and the seals they were pouring the chakra into were starting to run low. Naruto also suspected that when the barrier did come down, Orochimaru and Kabuto for that matter would be greatly reduced in strength. What's wrong, loser? Can't stand the heat, said Sasuke, giving off a vicious laugh right after he spoke those words. You wish, team. Chakra scatter shot jutsu, said Naruto, shooting multiple orbs of blue chakra randomly at Sasuke, making the Uchiha jump into the air, not realizing he fell into Naruto's trap. I expected more than just random firing, loser, said Sasuke before he found he was stuck in midair and couldn't move. Nowhere for you to run now, Sasuke team. This is the end, said Naruto, bring his arms together over his face with his fist closed. Oh crap, thought Sasuke before the chakra balls all around him hit him from all sides in one massive explosion. Kohona Hospital 10 minutes later. Gaara was watching over a medically machine-covered and sleeping Kimimaro while Sakura, being a nurse in training, was instructed to watch over a more heavily restrained Tayuya. Originally the pink-haired girl protested about the restraints unfitting of being used in a hospital. However, Gaara warned Sakura that Tayuya was the bodyguard of Orochimaru and had a sharp tongue not meant to be near children and even some adults. From what I remember from seeing her in Sound, Tayuya constantly swears no matter the situation, and every single sentence where she said something, it was so foul that even Kami himself would want to cover his ears. With the words Sakura recalled her precious Gaara-kun saying when they first wheeled her unconscious form in the same room with Kimimaro. Seeing this was a problem, for when the girl would eventually wake up to the situation she was now in, Sakura did the only thing a nurse in training could do to make it so the girl's tongue stayed silent in the hospital when she awakened. She gagged the sound ninja's foul mouth shut. Sakura, can I ask you a question? Said Gaara, slightly nervous, but wanted to be serious about this as it could determine the relationship he so desperately wanted. Sure Gaara-kun, what is it? Said Sakura, though her inner Sakura was curious as well as worried as she noticed he never added the chan suffix to her name. If you learned something about someone that was dark and slightly scary that only a handful of people knew, would you shun them away if you were told about it? Said Gaara before turning to face her while his left eye shut while a single eye made of sand watched over Kimimaro's sleeping form. That depends on the secret and what I already know of the person before I get to know them, Gaara-kun. Why? Said Sakura, looking at her boyfriend worriedly, knowing that whatever he was going to say would have great impact on their relationship. Because Sakura-chan, I am one of those people with the dark secrets, and it is a secret that I have been keeping from you since we first met. Only a select few people I know and trust know of my secret and have accepted me for who or rather what I am, said Gaara looking sad and slightly angry, but that was with himself as he felt his hesitation was weakening the purpose of the talk. If you mean about when I first saw you and wanting to kill the Sandaim's grandson, then don't worry about it. Konohamaru forgives you for that, said Sakura, but she felt that was not what he was referring to. It didn't help that her inner self was agreeing with that part too. That's not it though, it is slightly related to what I am, Sakura. First, I need to know that no matter what I tell you in this room stays between the two of us. Regardless that in the end you hate me, that this stays confidential and never to be spoken to another living soul, said Gaara, knowing he was putting a lot of faith in the crucial moment. What? Sure, I guess, Gaara, but what could be so dark about you that would destroy what we have? Said Sakura, wishing the red-haired boy would come out with what he wanted to say. Sakura, the secret I have been hiding from you is, said Gaara, but couldn't finish his sentence as he felt his resolve falter as the memory of that boy when he was younger looking at him with hate when he brought medicine over to help and the word, monster, echoed throughout his head. He didn't want a repeat of that on a much higher emotional level. Go away, monster. Those words echoed now throughout his head along with the other Suna villagers all running from him wherever he went. He couldn't go back to his old self, his old life of killing others mindlessly with his sand, nor did he want to, but the memories, they still lingered and, they still hurt. Please Gaara-kun, tell me. Please, said Sakura, running to her boyfriend as he fell to his knees crying with his knuckles from his closed fist turning white and his nails digging deep into him making him bleed where the nails cut. I can't go through the pain like I did when I was younger. The possibility of you hating me is too great, said Gaara, shaking his as more tears left him and his eyes only widened when he felt two gentle hands touching his rough by sand-like face. I could never hate you. Please, Gaara-kun, I need you to tell me everything or I'll never be able to understand. By keeping it inside you destroy yourself faster than any jutsu in the world. If you really care about me, you'll tell me, said Sakura, having her forehead connecting with his while the green-colored eyes looking at each other. You're right. I'm sorry. The secret about me, Sakura, is that I'm not fully human as I made you and some of the others think. My sand in the gourd I carry is moving through means that is not that of a bloodline that I made you believe I possessed. You see, when I was about to be born into this world, my bastard of a so-called father used crudely made seals that were weakened my mother in order to capture the one-tailed demon Lord Shukaku within me to be the ultimate weapon for Suna. Later on as I grew, it was soon expected of me like with other demon vessels scattered in different hidden villages to defend myself from hostiles. They always came at me and always tried to kill me, whether the attacks came from villages or ninja it didn't matter. I learned as I grew that demon vessels like me are hated and feared by other people as they believe we were the human form of the demons themselves and thus weakened in our current mortal forms, said Gaara, giving Sakura a moment to absorb this information. Sakura herself was taking this rather well as her inner Sakura had fainted while the more conscious form of her nearly collapsed on itself. That would have resulted in a full brain shutdown, making her fall unconscious until she could fully process the information. However, as stated before, she was taking it rather well. The villagers and ninjas saw their chance to be rid of the demon scourge, or monster, as they so openly called me when I was 6. At the order of my father. He had ordered my death to anyone bold enough to take the challenge and put a price on my head, so High Rouge Missing Ninja came to take the bounty and a week's worth of immunity from Suna Hunter ninjas when it was over. My father never expected to pay any of them, knowing that even if they could find a way to kill me I would have already killed them before such things fell into place. In the end it would be a win out of win for him, but his plans failed every time I killed his assassins and I grew stronger with each attempt on my life. So for a time I killed others whether they were a threat to me or not, just to satisfy the demon inside of me whispering her words to me of the blood I should take from everyone near me, said Gaara, his eyes no longer looking at her and moved his head slightly away from her own out of shame. Gaara, said Sakura as her mind was still absorbing what it was being told to it along with processing everything she heard in every keen detail of her boyfriend's words. Up until I joined Konoha when I met Naruto in that alley with you and the others, I had never once found the sanctuary of sleep as you have. For nearly 13 years I was the victim of insomnia and was always awake no matter what, for the slightest amount of sleep gave the demon in me a chance to take control of me and kill all things around me. If you hate me, I will understand, Sakura, and I will understand even more that you don't want to be around me anymore to have a relationship with for such reasons. Thank you though for what you have given me in the time I have known you, said Gaara, now looking down at his hands as he now saw them healing with his demonic powers from the cuts he made into his hands. The tears from his now closed eyes never stopped flowing as he waited for the inevitable destruction of his heart. As Gaara waited, Sakura was processing everything she had just been told by him, finding such acts of a man that was Gaara's father deplorable as well as horrible. It was only after she came to that conclusion of what was sealed inside of Gaara and the life of hell he had lived did she reach another conclusion. That what she had experienced with this boy in front of her was not a demon, but rather a boy named Gaara. Since he had let it slip that the demon was female and he was clearly male, it was all the more proof the two were separate from each other as the sun is from the moon. Gaara has been alone all this time, and it wasn't until he got here did he have a chance at a new life. Tsunade showed me a few sealing jutsus, but those were storage seal used on scrolls to house weapons like Tentendas when she uses her weapon-related jutsus. But, just because the scroll holds weapons doesn't mean the scroll is the actual weapon itself, thought Sakura, as her inner Sakura had finally woken up and decided to add her 2 bits of money into the mix. Char. Look at him, you idiot. Gaara-kun looks so miserable as he's just waiting for us to hate him. We can't let our boyfriend suffer like this. Hold him. Speak to him. Kiss him for Kami's sake. Just do something already. Char. Said Ina Sakura, throwing a small tantrum at the fact her boyfriend was hated so much and had hundreds of pictures of people, mostly black shadows with question marks on them, being chopped into pieces with a meat cleaver. Gaara, I'm sorry you had to feel alone when you were younger. I truly do mean that. I could never hate you for what you are, and I don't think you are a demon or monster that everyone thought or thinks you were back in Suna. You said it yourself, the demon inside of you is female and you are male, so unless you were hit with a change type jutsu when you were born, I don't think you are the Shukaku, said Sakura, putting her hands over his, feeling the dry blood mix with her hands, staining them slightly red. Gaara looked at her surprised before embracing her in a hug so quickly she thought she was being squeezed to death by his sand for a moment. Of course, such thoughts SD when he stopped hugging and gave her one hell of a kiss that gave her inner Sakura a massive blush and partial nosebleed sping down her nose. Thank you, Sakura-chan, said Gaara, slowly getting up while holding her so she could get up with him. You are always welcome, Gaara-kun, said Sakura, kissing him on the nose and hugging him gently while her head snuggled into his en. One thing is now bothering me though, Sakura-chan. How do you know exactly that I'm male and not a girl in disguise? Said Gaara, smirking slightly, feeling the cheeks of his girlfriend burning brightly even though he couldn't see it. Oh that, well you see, said Sakura, trying to figure out how to tell him she had peeked on him in the hot springs one day when she was there to relax as well the day before the date. She heard him groan and heard him say how the water felt good against his skin since it was always covered in layer of sand for protection. She had recognized it to be him and saw a hole made from the other side, no doubt by a pervert some time ago. When she had looked in, she had seen Gaara's top half actually, form soaking in the water. She nearly had suffered a massive nosebleed of epic proportions while her inner Sakura was way ahead of her and said into one of the many walls in her head. Gaara just smiled while his girlfriend was trying to think up a reasonable answer to his question, knowing she didn't have to explain herself. It's okay, Sakura, I was just teasing. What was said here stays here, and with the 2 patients here incapacitated, I doubt they will say anything, said Gaara, pressing her closer with a more firm hug that she happily returned. Unfortunately, neither of the 2 had noticed an Anbu root member overhearing them through the slightly open window that Sakura had left open to give the room air. Hokage Tower in the Hokage's office. What? Yelled Tsunade with her voice echoing all over Konoha while somewhere in Snow Country Piccolo thought he heard something, but shrugged it off, a form of Namek paranoia. Kisame feared very few things as a ninja. He feared the leader of Akatsuki, he feared Itachi, he feared the Kyuubi, and now he was in front of another thing he feared. A very angry slug Sannin whose full strength enhanced punches could send him all the way to Water Country and into the Mizukage's lap if she could will it to happen. Considering he was, in a way, the cause for the Mizukage hating the 7 swordsmen of the Bloody Mist, it would be wise for him not to make the Sannin now turned Hokage angry. After using the Hyuga girl as a bargaining chip to get to see the Hokage and not being turned into cat food by Hyashi's gentle fist form, Kisame told him everything. From Sasuke being a demon vessel of the basilisk to Orochimaru giving Sasuke all the power and support he needed to stop Naruto or at least weaken enough for Sanin to K. Well, at least she is taking it better than I thought. I'm not that's a plus, right? Thought a slightly worried Kisame knowing that he was outmatched, outclassed, and outright if Tsunade and the others decided to make him into fish sticks and feed the giant platter to the Akamaiki clan. Think happy thoughts. Think happy thoughts. If only life could be so simple for Kisame. So Naruto has had his strength reduced significantly while Sasuke is only now tapping into his own. To make matters worse, the Uchiha is getting help from Orochimaru in order to get one hell of a crash course in controlling the demon's powers. I want you Kakashi and Jiraiya to find Zabuza and tell him what's going on. You three will head to the Valley of the End to help Naruto should he need help after the fight is over. That is if it hasn't already ended. As for you Kisame, since Arashi as well as the others are vouching for you, I'm having you go back there as well to assist Uchiha Itachi should the need arise to try and protect Naruto from Orochimaru. If any of you see a chance to take down either Kabuto or Orochimaru, you are to take, while using extreme prejudice, said Tsunade before dismissing the group as they now wondering just how things had gotten this bad. Sighing, she rubbed her temples before heading to the hospital knowing she had to try and help Kimimaro with his disease. If anything, his information on her former teammate had high value considering the snake would never even think to suspect his fanatical bodyguard would betray him. Still, she would have Ibiki and Anko with her for good measure to further determine the truth about the information the albino possessed. At that moment, Valley of the End. Naruto saw the form of Uchiha Sasuke fall to the ground battered, bloody, and with his eyes closed as if unconscious. At first, Naruto suspected that he had won the fight and was the victor of the vicious battle. However, such a suspicion of victory SD when Sasuke flipped around at the last second and landed on his feet, but kneeled slightly as he needed an arm on the ground to support him considering his injuries were significant. I am going to give you this one single opportunity Sasuke, and one opportunity only to surrender peacefully. If you do not wish to comply, I will be forced to KO you without mercy or hesitation, said Naruto, deciding to at least have a clear conscience on this down the road so there were no possible what-if situations. I won't go back to being weak, Naruto. I have to fulfill my ambition and I must KO my brother for what he has done to my family. In order for me to KO him, I must KO you, said Sasuke, his eyes changing from having 2 comas to 3, giving his eyes better perception as dark purple chakra coursed around Sasuke, making his body grow slightly before letting out a scream of both pain and that of power. The power itself was immense from where Naruto was as it shook the very ground below him, almost making him lose balance for a few seconds. Crap. I just had to give him an option. Damn sensibilities and honor, thought Naruto, knowing that Sasuke's power now surpassed his own at the present moment in time. K.U. I must K.U. yelled Sasuke, only it was more demonic than human as the Sharingan eyes were now overlapped with a purple glow. Before Naruto could even react, the Uchiha in front of him was gone, as if he wasn't there anymore, only for him to feel a fist in his gut with the strength of a sledgehammer the size of the Hokage monument. The fox vessel went flying towards the barrier and would have hit it on with such force it would have eviscerated Naruto in a less of a time it took for a heart to beat. That hurt, thought Naruto as he saw Sasuke staring at him while he went flying into the barrier wall. That would be his doom. However, as strange as it was, Sasuke stopped such a horrible event from happening with a knee to his back and his 2 hands combined into one fist, sing Naruto down into the ground, creating a large crater large enough to put a small home. How's does it feel, loser? How's it feel to be at the bottom of the food chain where you deserve to be when compared to that of an Uchiha? You were never better than me and you never will be. I am the superior warrior here, and to ensure that you never can try again, I'm now going to KO you with the very jutsu Kakashi sensei gave only to me as I was the worthy one of us, said Sasuke, his snake-like fangs pointing out of his body while his hands went through the seals before a chidori was formed in his right arm. My body hurts so much from those blows, though his body won't be too great later when this fight stops. He's not used to having demonic chakra running through his body like I am. Even with Orochimaru helping his with those other seals, his body is going to be too fry to fight back when he has it retreat back into his body. No doubt that is when Orochimaru will strike and be able to have his new and improved body, Sharingan eyes and all. Crap, I didn't want to take off my weights yet, but what choice do I have now? thought Naruto before he found himself lifted up by a hand to his tea, lifting him up with his hands dangling almost lifelessly at his sides. Serpent Chidori, said Sasuke, taking the lightning-based jutsu that looked twisted while turning a dark purple color, twisting like snakes all around the orb. As the attack came at Naruto, now aimed for the center of his chest, where it would hit both his heart and lung by Sasuke, Naruto mentally spoke the word needed to remove the seal's weight on his body. Supernova, thought Naruto, as that was the taboo word that Slade told him was the key thing to say, whether out loud or in his head, to deactivate the seal of the demon. Why the word supernova? Well, the thing was that when the feel of the weights fell, the power that was unleashed would be the equivalent to that of a supernova. Crunch was the sickening sound of blood, and bone being torn away, that of Sasuke's attack, thrusting it into Naruto's body. Konoha Kazama Estate. Haku had gotten the girls to sit down as she told them what had happened from what she overheard with Tsunade, Kisame, and Gaara. The ice mistress had gotten the group of girls awake after Naruto had come back and got Temari up. When she asked, Naruto said he couldn't tell her and disappeared with a still tired-looking Temari connected to him with her hand being covered by his. Now she had told them something they all needed to know about what Gaara had told her about Naruto, even though it was never stated what his condition was. However, if there was one thing she knew from Naruto, was that a demon vessel's instincts are always right when it comes to such dangerous things. Are you sure that what you heard was correct, Haku-chan? It could be Gaara's paranoia about losing a good friend like Naruto-kun on the battlefield, said Ino, knowing that Naruto was in a class in himself and had far outweighed many others. While that may be a factor, Ino-chan, I believe Gaara knows a lot more than he is letting on about Naruto's physical condition. Add to the fact that Sasuke is the demon vessel of the second most powerful of all the demon lords, makes me all the more nervous for Naruto-kun's safe return, said Haku, who felt that she could never forgive herself if she lost Naruto now. I still can't believe Sasuke was a demon vessel and the third Hokage knew about it, and that compared to Gaara he wasn't even hated, said Tenten, who had learned like the rest of the group secretly through Temari that her little brother was the vessel of Shukaku and he had been hated by practically everyone in the village. They had sworn to secrecy to not tell Gaara or Sakura they knew about it, to see just how things for the two of them played out when it was confession time. However, at the same time, those who knew about Naruto's demon were sworn to secrecy to not tell the others until Naruto felt the time was right to tell them himself. It was only fair, considering it was his burden to bear and should be his to show if he felt he should. At least Hinata came back in one piece, said Kin, knowing by now the girl was being taken to the hospital under and watched by Hiashi himself, not trusting anyone else to guard his firstborn. Yeah, but she was asleep when they brought her in before I left. When she does wake up, she will be worried about Naruto-kun and might blame herself if he's injured or worse, said Hana, as she had been at the hospital when they came in with Hinata, along with the knowledge of knowing that the Hyuga girl would no doubt be worried sick when she finally awoke. Feeling depressed, the girls decided to head out to the hospital as a whole in hopes of getting more answers about this from Tsunade herself, seeing as how they knew she would be there for the two newly acquired patients. As the last one left and shut the door, they failed to notice the sound of each of their picture frames, glass coverings of Naruto in their respectful rooms cracked in a spider-webbed fashion from an unseen force that, if they had, would have been declared a bad omen. A very bad omen. Konoha Dango stand. Zabuza was currently sitting down eating some dango and drinking some sake after a good workout session he just had earlier in the morning. He had heard Naruto moving around, but thought nothing of it, so he let it slide for now, knowing the boy had a lot on his mind right now. Much to his surprise, when Kakashi and Jiraiya of all people came up out of nowhere to talk to him about what had happened with the situation with Naruto and his missions he had to complete at the same time. They didn't have a chance because Zabuza's eyesight saw the form of his old swordsman partner Kisame. What are you doing here, Kisame team? Said Zabuza, drawing his large sword ready to kill the shark and eat the remains after deep frying them. Wait. Come on, Zabuza, I know I might have partially caused the 7 swordsmen of the mist to break up, but, said Kisame, only to be interrupted by Zabuza. Partially. It was your fault entirely, you no good fish head, said Zabuza, who would have moved in for the K had Jiraiya not restrained him. Wait, I thought it was your fault for trying to assassinate the mist cage, but had failed in the attempt, resulting in you going rogue. Said Kakashi, frowning, wondering what the true story was. That was the Village of the Mist's official position on the matter after it was learned that this idiot secretly dated the Mizukage's daughter. Apparently, the woman has a fetish for things that were sharks because of the teeth and viciousness they possessed, said Zabuza, wanting nothing more than to s the shark's head off for causing the disbandment and leaving him to hold the blame in the situation. Really? Said Kakashi, surprised that was what happened. When the man found out, he ked her because she was carrying my child and he did not want a monster for a grandson. Knowing that the other 7 swordsmen of the mist might stand up for me, he and the council told everyone that Zabuza had done the deed of trying to assassinate me while I ked his daughter out of jealous rage over another man, said Kisame, wanting nothing more that day to sink his shark-like teeth into the bastard's end. As deep as this talk is, we have to go and get to Naruto at the Valley of the End before it's possibly too late, said Jiraiya before explaining to Zabuza what had happened and why Kisame was with them. Then what the hell are we doing here? Let's go, said Zabuza, with both Kisame and him out front, with Kisame in the lead since he knew where to go more than Zabuza. Valley of the End. The serpent Chidori didn't hit where Sasuke intended it to, nor was it as deep as the Uchiha would have liked it to be. Just as the attack was about to hit Naruto square in the center of the chest, the boy moved as much of his body as he could in the other boy's grasp, hitting and grazing Naruto's left shoulder out of chest area. For a second, Sasuke looked surprised that Naruto would have the quickness to move his body before he could react, countering the move for the attack, and just when the Kazama seemed unable to surprise him any longer, he exploded with more chakra than anyone in the Valley of the End had ever felt before. The resultant explosion sent Sasuke flying back away from Naruto and away from the barrier that was now making whining sounds like metal forcefully being bent against its will. The barrier wasn't the only thing straining under this explosion of chakra, as several of the seals on the ground were starting to crack, causing several Junin and Chunin ninja to burst into purplish black chakra-like flames from overtaxing themselves. What are you? Said Sasuke as he looked on with horror and awe at Naruto, whose wounds, though still damaging to the body, had stopped bleeding, while the wound on his left side was now slowly bleeding rather than it all coming out like a waterfall. Me. Hey. I am your worst nightmare, said Naruto, pushing even more of his chakra out of his body until it washed over the barrier, swirling around like a violent tornado, tearing up the ground as the power continued to increase. Kohona Hospital at the moment. Tsunade was looking over her 2 patients still out cold, though with Kimimaro Kaguya it was to be expected considering his extensive condition he was placed in. The disease had eat up a good chunk of his lungs, and the curse seal, despite giving the young man increased strength, did nothing to stop or attempt to cure him of the disease. No doubt Orochimaru told him he could do it with the curse seal, starting the whole fanatic loyalty Gaara claims he has. Still, if he can give the leaf such loyalty, I think we can forgive and forget the whole incident with trying to buy new little brother, even if same new little brother did kick my ass when we first met, thought Tsunade, her eyebrow twitching and wondering where that particular afterthought came from. Her eyes glanced over from the albino to the foul-mouthed one, who after being brought in here, was heavily restrained, knowing she had every reason to fight back. From what Sakura had told the Sannin when she entered was that her apprentice had gagged Tayuya to stop her from saying things that would have frightened children and shocked probably even her. Before Tsunade could think any further, the girl slowly awoke, at first only to realize that she was restrained and gagged. Naturally, she started squirming and struggled to get free from her restraints, all the while trying to speak while she was gagged, and if she had been able to speak, Tsunade had no doubts that words would be too horrible to speak of. Should we give her a sedative, Tsunade-sama? Said Shizune, wondering how they were going to get the girl to calm down. I doubt it will help. Even if we gave her a high dosage not meant to be taken by human standards, she would probably try to escape. Just remove the gag on her mouth, but put a muting jutsu on her so when she speaks she'll be quiet even if she doesn't want to be, said Tsunade, now looking over at Kimimaro, who was still sleeping while his machines that monitored his body did the work, watching him for any sudden irregularities before she returned her eyes back to Tayuya. What am I going to do with you, little girl? You are the bodyguard of a traitor to the leaf-turned-cage of Sound Village. The fact is that you are alive right now and even able to move is because Naruto removed whatever he did to you. If I were you, I would calm down and be nice for once before I show my angry side and pound you into dust, said Tsunade, unleashing some intent at Tayuya, who stopped moving and shivered slightly with the sedatives kicking now that it met little to no resistance. Now I remember what happened. That Naruto guy could have ked me, and instead he spared me from being ked by that snake freak Orochimaru for my failure later on. I wonder why he would show niceness to me, thought Tayuya, who probably would have blushed from the feeling of someone caring for her when normally no one would, but this was not the time or the place. Are you going to cooperate or do I have to wait until Kimimaro wakes up and tells me what I need to know? Said Tsunade, driving Tayuya out of her deep thought process. Well, what do you want to know, you old hag? I can see through that genjutsu of yours, and frankly the Mona Lisa has better looks than you by comparison, said Tayuya, who refused to have all the bitterness of her taking out, making Tsunade's intent increase greatly at that remark and wanted to hit her, but at the moment she needed the insolent and insulting girl conscious to tell her what she needed to know. Besides, she could always knock the girl out afterwards with a good fist to the skull. Well, that snake team is in the Valley of the End right now with his precious gay retard Uchiha Sasuke right now. He wants Sasuke to be his next vessel due to those goddamn Sharingan eyes the weirdo possesses, so he can learn every jutsu in the world, and all that bull s. I mean, how can you do that if there are some jutsus that can only be done through a bloodline? Anyway, we were told to bring Sasuke to the Valley of the End, though the boy wanted to get there sooner than expected. So we let him run on ahead to see the snake freak and his gay toy Kabuto team along with army of ninja he brought with him for some large seal experiment, said Tayuya, finding no reason to be loyal to the snake and just spill what she knew. Special seals, said Shizune, wondering what that meant for either Sasuke or Naruto, as seals could do many things when activated. Yeah, like I said, special seals. What, are you deaf as well as old? Tsunade's eyebrow twitches again. That stupid prick had all the sound and ex-Suna ninja he could keep with him, that didn't try to ambush Naruto, went to making these weird seals on the ground and that I wouldn't know what was up from down. The only thing I did understand was that should that Naruto kid, who by the way more badass, should get by the entire Sound 5, we would have to CSPLE him for when the guy arrived in the Valley of the End to bring back Orochimaru's new gay toy Sasuke team. Though considering what we did, I don't think that is going to happen, Tayuya thinking thoughtfully, wondering how Naruto was doing before she mentally slapped herself in wonderment as to why she was once more caring about a person who nearly killed her twice, but didn't. CSPLE him. In what way? How? Said Tsunade, looking worried as she knew that if Naruto was not up to 100% capacity, then there was a slim chance of him Kisame may have told her what he knew, but he didn't see what had happened to Naruto before then, and this girl and Kimimaro were both the key to that knowledge. When we or use a sound jutsu meant for such a purpose, in case some of us don't want to Tsunade and Shizune wince, to bind that Naruto kid's senses like sight, touch, hearing, and basically his other remaining senses before facing Orochimaru to make him easier to said Tayuya, only to have her tea being closed by Tsunade shortly afterwards, as the woman was squeezing the life out the girl for doing that to Naruto. You did what? Yelled Tsunade, while Shizune was now frantically trying to get her teacher of the medicine arts to remove her hands from the girl's tea, though she would be lying if she told you she didn't want to strangle the girl herself. Please Tsunade-sama, let go, said Shizune, trying to break the woman's grip, and only did so when she heard another voice in the room. Please do not Tayuya-san, Tsunade-sama. She was only following orders given to us by Orochimaru should the boy reach us. He came out of nowhere while riding on top of a large black dragon before he engaged us by himself. I gave the order to proceed with the plan to CSPLE Naruto-sama. If anyone deserves to be killed by your hands, it is me, said Kimimaro, who had been awakened if barely by Tayuya's and Tsunade's yelling along with the intent given off by the Sannin, making him uncomfortable. Considering your condition as a doctor, I'm consciously obligated not to kill you, and as the Hokage you are worth more alive than As long as you're awake, Kimimaro-san, I need you to tell me which senses Naruto has sealed away at the moment, so I know how to deal with this when he returns, said Tsunade, looking at the albino before looking back at the foul mouth, who was starting to sweating nervously like she had stolen one of the older woman's prized, super rare, and near impossible sake she hides from Shizune for when she has to do paperwork. I do not know all the senses that Naruto has lost while engaging us. All I know is that his sense of touch and his hearing were lost by Jirobo and Tayuya. In addition, I do not know what other senses Naruto-sama may have lost in our battle, but I don't think he is going to tell you until he returns. If he returns, said Kimimaro before going back to sleep once more. I'll deal with you later, Tayuya. For now, Keep that foul mouth of yours under control or I'll put into a coma before the day is over, said Tsunade, glaring at the girl before turning and walking out the door, with Shizu not even seeing the restrained redhead stick her tongue out at them as the Anbu entered the room once more to watch over the two ninja. The Valley of the End. While Sasuke was seeing this, the basilisk snake demon lord inside of the Uchiha along with its 7 other heads looked on in disbelief. The enemy in front of them looked very similar at the moment to another warrior they had all fought in the past, and SD against. Damn this boy. That glare of his behind those eyes is like that brat all those years ago. I hate those eyes and the glare I'm getting. I will not be defeated by another damned child like that, ever. Again, said the basilisk, finding he did not want to like that again and getting desperate, pumped all the chakra he knew his vessel could handle. Naruto frowned slightly as Sasuke suddenly exploded with his own blast of chakra that increased his almost to match Naruto's. A nightmare will not beat me. I will not fall to the like of you. I am invincible. I am the perfect warrior to ever live, said Sasuke, the consciousness of his mind no doubt being totally destroyed, having been liquidated and all around poisoned by the demonic influence that now covered his body from what Naruto could see in an aura that had turned his body into what would like a living shadow. Again the two ran at each other, sing fist, legs, elbows, and knees at each other, with each one being pushed the limit. Naruto more than Sasuke, as the dark sickening chakra around the Uchiha was leaving marks of decaying on the young Kazama, meaning. Realizing that it was have to end soon in his favor or not at all, Naruto needs Sasuke hard in the ribs before backflipping and kicking the Uchiha in the chin. The force of the blow sent Sasuke away couple dozen feet to give them each of them breathing room. Seeing his chance to take down Sasuke, Naruto summoned another darkness dragon out of his arm and this time into his Jaganai, enhancing Naruto's power several-fold. Sasuke soon went through more hand signs before he pulled out the one jutsu Kakashi thought his once prized pupil would not be able to do, only to become corrupted. Serpent Rakiri, said Sasuke before charging at Naruto with godlike speed. Naruto, having absorbed the dark beast into his Jaganai, quickly used his own speed to create the biggest Rasengan he had ever made. It was several times bigger than what he usually made with right hand, but if it would help get the job done then so be it. Now I have to quickly add the element to it that will give it the extra boot it needs, thought Naruto, as he could see Sasuke coming towards him with madness in his eyes that were his and yet not his own. Naruto, yelled Sasuke, his arm back ready to end his rivals, brothers, and to some degree his best and only true friend in Konoha. Naruto finished with putting his element in, just smirked at Sasuke before staring him in the eyes with no fear of what was to happen. You first, Sasuke, my friend, said Naruto in a whisper as he ignited his overly large Rasengan after putting the element to end all elements placed into a Rasengan. It was the element of life. Or rather a portion of his own life to be exact. Just as the serpent Rakiri hit Naruto in his right shoulder out of chest, a bright light in the swirling ball Naruto was focusing on despite the pain in his shoulder area going out the back of him. What is that thing? Said Sasuke, finding his jutsu was so deep into Naruto that it was too late and he couldn't pull out of his rival's body. I call it the Big Bang Rasengan Bomb Jutsu. How do you like it? Said Naruto before a massive blast of chakra escaped from Naruto's attack and he screamed while the attack consumed him, Sasuke, and everyone connected to the barrier. So much power and I can't move. Damn it. How could I be so foolish to forget that if one of the opponents taps into the seal with his or her chakra, then it can't be released until everyone that is connected with it removes their control or SS. Thought a now panic-stricken Orochimaru, as the huge blast of power consumed everyone in the barrier as they screamed for help and in pain. Itachi shut off his eyes and ran as far as his legs could get him until estimated he was safe from the large amount of lethal chakra that was headed for him. He found he didn't have to go far as it stopped consuming everything about halfway through the desolate area as it was. Incredible. In every fiber of this boy's being he is truly a Kazama, thought Itachi, his eyes refusing to blink out of fear that this was some dream, illusion, and out of or some type of nightmare-creating genjutsu. Itachi was so in awe with the power he was seeing that he barely if at all sensed the group coming from behind him at high speed. Itachi, I reached them like you said and they are here to help. Now, we can help. He, LP. NA, Ru, 2. Said Kisame as he just looked at the giant swirling orb of chakra dropping his sword on the ground with his jaw leaving his mouth. He wasn't the only one. Zabuza also dropped his sword and fell to his knees, his eyes showing fear that he had not had since he was first concerned for Haku shortly after they first started out their lives as missing ninjas. Haku is going to kill me, thought Zabuza, knowing that when the girl was angry, though on rare occurrences, she let it be known she was no pushover. Jiraiya was thinking the same thing except with Arashi and Tsunade, who he knew that the woman considered him the spitting image of her little brother. I'm so screwed, thought a sweating Jiraiya, not only because he was seeing such a pure yet strong child, but knowing that when this was over someone's head was going to roll, and he had feeling that no matter who was to blame, it was going to be him. The only thing greater than the blast itself was the scream that was generated from it, that came from one Kazama Uzumaki Naruto as he echoed one name that was the closest to his heart. Yelled Naruto within the blast as it tore at him like the wrath of a god himself, tearing apart his mind, and his very soul. Then everything for the boy went dark. Kohono Hospital, time unknown. Hinata woke up screaming, her hand over her chest as her heart started beating faster than it was intentionally designed, as the gods intended. Her dream felt so real she almost felt as if she was with Naruto too, and the very fact that her dream involved Naruto wasn't helping her heart either. Naruto-kun was in so much pain in my dream, I have to find him to know he is okay. Wait, where am I? Thought Hinata, looking around seeing she was in a hospital bed back in her village. Her village. It's more of a joke if anything, considering what she knew of it and how far it had fallen from what it used to be. No, it was not her village anymore. It was a village that hated and despised the one she loved more than anyone else possibly could. She hated this place and would continue to hate it until the leaf that she remembered being told about when she was a child existed once more. Silently she got out of bed gently to test her leg muscles, not knowing how long she had been out. When she removed the curtain from the window, she saw it was night time and the moon was out in crescent form this time. Was I out for at least a day? Said Hinata out loud before looking down and finding herself in a hospital gown and fresh clothes delivered to her, with her pet fox sleeping on top of it, looking as cute as ever. Next to the fox was note made by Ino, as she had recognized the girl's handwriting from before at the academy. Hinata, we're all glad you're safe. The clothes we got you were in your room back at the estate. When you get dressed, try to find one of us, as we need to tell you something important. It's about Naruto-kun. Try to find the room 345. Ino, said Hinata, reading in her mind while her friend's words played out in her head as she read it, though the Hyuga heiress could only wonder what they needed to talk about. Carefully, with the skill and grace of a seasoned ninja, she gently lifted the little fox off her clothing and placed him on her pillow. After getting dressed in her ninja attire of black pants and navy blue shirt that was slightly tight around her figure, she crept through the hospital, knowing no one should be up and about, but she needed to find the room that was stated on the note. When she found it, she found the door and several red handprints on it, with several footprints leading into that also looked slightly bloodstained as well. Is this the room? The note said room 345, and this is it, and it's not a genjutsu, so whoever is in here must be in serious condition. Oh no, the dream I had. What if it all wasn't a dream and was really real? Naruto-kun, thought Hinata as she entered, for the fear that it was her love whose blood was connected to the hand and footprints. She rushed to the room door and opened it quickly yet quietly, and found the room's lights were off with no one around, which of course puzzled the Hyuga heiress. Deciding that it was for the best, Hinata resisted to urge to turn the lights on as she entered the hospital room, hoping she was wrong. She could hear a clear beeping from a machine and a small suction of a breathing apparatus that repeated itself over and over again behind a curtain with a bed next to it that had someone sleeping on it. Hinata, in all her life up until now, had never been so scared in her life as she was at this moment, as she tried to keep her courage from faltering. Every step she took towards the semi-transparent curtain, Hinata did it with a shaking outstretched hand, with her lavender eyes nearly laced with fear-filled tears. Image upon image of what could possibly be just beyond that curtain was scaring her to no end, as all she could see was Naruto bandaged, broken, bleeding, and out of, or worse, I won't run away. Naruto-kun wouldn't, so I can't either, thought Hinata before getting a firm hold on the cloth and pulled it away to stare at the figure before her. Her eyes widened in horror at the form before her that was wrapped in bandages from head to toe. If it wasn't for the fact the form was in a hospital gown, wrapped up like a mummy, had machines in him telling his heartbeat and breathing were sleigh, and had nearly half a dozen IVs, or blood packs transferring blood into his body, the shy Hyuga heiress would have thought this person in front of her was S. She wanted to let out a scream at the sight she saw of this figure before her, and it didn't help that the charts next to her had the name, Kazama Uzumaki Naruto, labeled on it. His once blonde hair that was his mane to her, which was like the raging force of the sun itself, was barely existent behind the bandages. His face with the whisker-like birthmarks she had come to adore about him was covered with a breathing mask forcing air into him rather than letting him breathe on his own. Looking back at the chart she read off the list, the doctor, most likely in her opinion was Tsunade, in her head what he had suffered to place him in this state. Patient's name, Kazama Uzumaki Naruto. Summary. Most lethal of wounds on the patient are the 2 holes shaped like a fist in the boy's body that are semi-deep with the patient's chest. Each wound is on each side of his chest that tore off F from his body and causing severe blood loss. Complete list of all injuries patient has suffered are as docented. Chakra, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree burns, cause unknown. Muscle tissue damage, caused by extreme taijutsu combat. Chakra depletion, possibly caused by using a powerful never-before-seen jutsu. Massive cuts, SCRS, and lacerations to the body, causes currently unidentified. 2 holes, 1 for each side, in body. Note: 1 hole is bigger than other and goes through patient's back. More powerful variation of the jutsu that made the first hole is suspected. Check ninja records for reference. It is the opinion of this doctor that the patient, for as strong as he is, has suffered far too many wounds to be alive for long. Even with the help of Tsunade-sama, the wounds are overall lethal and will slowly kill the boy painfully if a solution is not found. When Hinata read this, she dropped the clipboard as she couldn't read any more, as the fact alone that he went through so much made her sick to her stomach. Realizing there was a bathroom right next door to this one, she ran for it and puked in the toilet until there was nothing left in her stomach to let out. After cleaning up, she walked back over to Naruto's body, pulled up a chair, kissed him on his bandaged cheek, placed her gentle hands over his right hand, and started crying herself into sleep. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger," said Hinata in a whisper before sleep took her, hoping that this was in actuality just a nightmare and was waking up from it. If only she was. A few minutes later, the window to the room after the lock had been picked open and a masked figure whose age was possibly 12 or 13 years old entered the room. The figure's eyes looked over the room once for the target that it was looking for that was now in its view. Kazama Uzumaki Naruto. The demon himself, thought the figure walking over to the left side of the bed to not disturb the sleeping figure on the other side. Removing the mask, the silent figure that was Inuzuka Kiba stared at his enemy that went by the name of Kazama Uzumaki Naruto. Or as the older generation called him countless times before, Kyubi. Kiba looked at the screen above Naruto's head, looking at the numbers and things that he would never understand even if he learned from the female Hokage herself. "I still can't believe Hinata loves you after all this time, Naruto. The only answer I can see is you are somehow poisoning her mind with your demonic powers, and the sheer fear of losing you is strengthening it. I can't allow you to live any longer due to what you are and how many lives you hurt in your previous form. You hurt both villager and ninja alike, and now my mom had been taken away by that bee you call a Hokage. A woman like her should know her place is better suited to be at her man's feet begging to be in his ever-graceful presence," thought Kiba, looking over at Hinata before back to looking at Naruto before he started smirking. "Don't worry though, Naruto'll take good care of my woman for you after you are long gone, though Hinata may have to take the fall for your death before anything. Then when she is freed, I'll be there to support her in her time of need and she'll fall in love with me. Just as it was supposed to happen. But you don't have to worry about poor Hinata-chan, Naruto, since I'll take good care of her for you after your Hell, I might even name one of the many kids I intend to have with her after you if I feel generous enough, or if I still remember to do that after our honeymoon when we're married," said Kiba, whispering. His smirk turned into an evil smile as he reached out with his clawed hand for Naruto's tea, wanting the boy to in the only manner that the boy's body could still feel pain. Suffocation. Kiba's smile turned to anger as he gripped the tea of Naruto's and slowly started to squeeze, remembering his visit to his mother jail cell. Flashback. Kiba found himself sitting in front of his mother's cell, sitting in a chair with his mother now sitting in a chair behind the bars that held her too. I can't believe they put you in here all because you were speaking your mind. As a council member of Konoha you can do that and shouldn't be censored for what you believe in. I have half a mind to break you out of here, said Kiba, who was downright infuriated by this when he got home to greet his family, only to learn the news of what happened while he was away. No, you can't, or you'll be in here with me and then you won't become clan head in my place since there is no one else now to do it with your sister being with that demon. Speaking of that foul creature, how was the mission? Said Inuzuka Tsume, her face filled with dog-sping fury and anger as she spoke. Depending on your point of view, the mission was a success and a failure. We prevent Sasuke from getting to Sound to be with Orochimaru, but at the same time we failed to bring him back alive to Konoha. Naruto apparently killed him, Kabuto, and Orochimaru too. However, he's in no shape to fight seeing how he got really messed up. Some green guy I've only started to see around the village came out of nowhere flying past us with Naruto in his arms, said Kiba, wondering just who the hell were all these weird people hanging around Naruto and how many people were surrendering to his demonic power. I don't know the guy except he's close to the brat. Wait, you said he was in bad shape when you last saw him, right? This may be your perfect chance to kill him for us. Without the demon influencing everyone, things will be back to normal and the Hokage will have no choice but to release me by the command of the council. Speaking of which, find a man named Danzo. He has a lot of pull with the shinobi, so he can keep the guards in the brat's room away while you sneak in and kill him. Tsunade will never be able to determine who killed Naruto due to his condition. Even if she did suspect that someone in Konoha killed the demon, she would have so many possible suspects that the case will never be solved, said Tsume, smiling an evil smile that made Kiba's skin crawl, but was willing to obey nonetheless to get his mother, sister, and his girl Hinata free from their prisons. How do you want me to kill him? Said Kiba, looking at his mother, who had him lean as close as the prisoner was allowed her visitors to before she whispered her plan to her son to start as soon as possible. End flashback. It's time to rest now, Demon Fox. Go back to the 9 levels of hell where you belong, said Kiba, as he continued to squeeze even harder, feeling the tea straining against the dog uses strength. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.